All right, thank you so much. I will go ahead and also give the secretary the nod that she can begin her recording. All right, everyone, welcome to the Senate Committee on Growth and Infrastructure. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Senator Brooks? Senator Hammond?
Here.
Senator Pickard?
Here.
Senator Spearman?
Here.
Chair Harris?
Here. Thank you. We have 4 members present. I will endeavor to make a note when Senator Brooks joins us, and will let you know verbally as well.
I am here, Chair. Missed the roll.
Vice Chair Brooks has joined us. Please mark him present. All right, guys, just our general reminders. Please be courteous and respectful with others during the meeting, even if you disagree with another person's position. For those participating on Zoom, please be sure to mute your microphone when you are not speaking. First on our agenda today is a presentation on autonomous vehicles by Motional. We have Mr. Simhauser with us. Mr. Wemp, is the E silent?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Can you say it for me one more time?
Wempy.
Wempy. And Miss Gretchen, and could you tell me, Efkin?
Nicely done. Very few get that right. Gretchen Efkin, thank you.
All right, lovely. Welcome to the committee. Please feel free to start your presentation when you're ready.
Thank you. Chair Harris, Vice Chair Brooks, Senator Spearman, Hammond, and Pickard. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I am Sam Wempy, Director of Government Relations and Public Policy at Motional. As you just heard, I'm joined by my colleagues Gretchen Efkin, Vice President of Go-to-Market and Marketing, and Peter Simshauser, General Counsel. I'm going to take a couple minutes to talk about who Motional is and to provide an overview of our autonomous vehicle technology. And then my colleague Gretchen will be presenting on our achievements in Nevada and what comes next for Motional, as well as the industry at large. Chair Harris, may I share my screen?
Yes, please.
All right. So Motional is a global leader in developing and deploying autonomous vehicles and AV technology. We're a joint venture of Hyundai and Aptiv, the major tier 1 automotive electronics supplier. Each has equal shares in the joint venture, and our employees also participate in our ownership. The joint venture was formed in 2020 when Hyundai committed $1.6 billion to fund our next 3 to 5 years of autonomous vehicle development and the initial commercialization. As Gretchen will describe, substantial portions of the investment will use to support our existing testing and deployment activities right here in Nevada. Although the name Motional may be new, some of you may recognize the Aptiv name. The company has a history in Nevada that goes back to 2018, and I expect you probably recognize Hyundai as well. The facility that we have in Nevada has more than 250 employees, and they were all Aptiv employees at one point and have all transitioned over to be part of Motional. Across the company, we have a large and growing group of more than 600 engineers supporting our cutting-edge R&D efforts. This global team has been recruited from around the world, from academia and industries like tech, automotive, and aerospace. Our engineering teams are widely recognized as some of the best in the autonomous vehicle space, if not the best, in my opinion. The team is busy improving these technologies and planning improvements for the next generation of AV technology that'll be deployed over the course of the next decade. They are delivering, or they, being our team, is delivering success virtually every day towards this project, and a project that many engineers consider a moonshot. Las Vegas is our hub for operations and R&D, and we're testing processes there that will make our commercial deployment possible. This looks like, how do you manage fleets of 50 or 100 vehicles? What sort of, employees do you need to be servicing these vehicles, and even, higher up the management chain, looking at the command center as the fleet as a whole, it's moving around on its streets. Next door in California, we also, in Santa Monica, we have a growing team of more than 30 engineers who focus exclusively on machine learning and artificial intelligence. These specialists are recognized as industry leaders in creating software that performs the perception task in autonomous driving. We'll talk a little bit more about how that fits into the overall mix shortly. Essentially, though, it entails instantaneously processing all of the information that is captured by the AV sensors and the vehicle surroundings. Outside of the testing we conduct in Las Vegas, we also are testing on public roads in Boston, Pittsburgh, and in Singapore. I'll also note that Singapore drives on the other side of the road, so we're very proud to be testing on both the left and right side of the road. Before I explain a little bit more about our technology, I want to emphasize two important things. We've been really fortunate to have had great relationships with our government partners from all levels in Las Vegas and the city of Henderson, Clark County, the RTC, and we're truly honored by the opportunity to discuss our technology with the committee today. Because we have the biggest footprint of any AV company in Nevada, and we're on the leading edge of the development of this technology, we're on the cutting edge of how the legislative and regulatory regime acts when it comes to this technology, and we encounter that on a day-to-day basis. And we're pleased to say that it has worked extremely well. And we're confident that we'll be able to address collaboratively any instances where we may need to discuss potential misalignment between the legal standards and the development of our AV technology. We remain committed to Nevada being one of the first places where the future of transportation will be accessible for everyone. Okay, a little bit about our technology. As many of you may have heard, NHTSA has said that 94% of accidents on the road are due to human driver error, and bringing that number down as low as possible with autonomous vehicles is the fundamental reason we're doing what we're doing. But it bears asking, how does this actually work? What are the systems in place that actually allow the vehicle to operate safely? So there's really four core systems that allow the vehicle to do this. There's the sensing system. That's how the vehicle receives information about its environment. That's coming in from different sensors. You may have heard of LiDAR or radar, or, a variety of other sensors we have around the vehicle. Then there's the perception. That's where the machine learning and artificial intelligence come in. That's how the vehicle is quickly and instantaneously able to understand what it is it's seeing. Noticing an octagonal red shape at the stop sign and differentiating the difference between someone on a bicycle or someone on a motorcycle. Then comes the planning system, and that's how the vehicle takes some of those inputs and understands and anticipates where that cyclist or motorcyclist may be going and is able to safely route around them. Last is the control system. That's how the vehicle acts on the rest of these inputs, doing things such as steering and braking. And anyone who's ever been in a vehicle where the driver was a little bit more aggressive or too slow, knows how important some of these control pieces can be. I'll talk a little bit now about our testing process. So the first stage in all of our testing is simulation. Prior to our vehicles leaving the garage, the software platform is put through a rigorous simulation process. We go through thousands of scenarios, both really common ones that we can expect to see every day, as well as very rare and often dangerous scenarios. And the point of this is to make sure that the technology and the software is operating as we would expect it to operate. Once that has been signed off to our, and we're comfortable with that, then it moves on to test tracks. That's where we put the vehicles through in a controlled environment and bring them to real world various scenarios that we're also seeing. For example, there's a little photo here of one of the mannequins that we use to test a pedestrian going across a crosswalk. And only once we're really comfortable with how the vehicle is performing out of the test track do we move on to public road testing, including fully driverless operation without anyone behind the wheel. And Gretchen is going to talk quite a bit more about our achievements in Nevada, but I'd like to end my segment with a brief overview of how we know our vehicle is safe enough to be operated without anyone behind the wheel. The validation process our driverless platform has gone through has involved over 1.5 million miles of public road driving and has taken our team more than 100,000 hours to complete. The validation process, while we were going through this validation process, we proactively sought an external reviewer, TÜV-SÜD, to assess our safety process and program. We opened up our books and our development process and let them look around to make sure we are really doing all the safety things that we said we were doing, and looking at the engineering that was going on behind that. When TÜV-SÜD finished their assessment, they gave us a first of its kind endorsement to operate a vehicle with an empty driver's seat. We take safety very seriously, and we believe we've earned the right to operate driverless. Thank you. Gretchen, over to you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Chair Harris and committee members for having us here today. Again, my name is Gretchen Efkin. I'm Vice President of Go-to-Market and Marketing here at Motional. So we can go to the next slide. So Motional has been very fortunate to have achieved several key company milestones and indeed some key industry achievements here in Nevada. Las Vegas is home to our partnership with Lyft, which is the world's longest running public robotaxi service. These vehicles operate with our safety drivers monitoring the system currently. Over the years, we've served in excess of 100,000 rides and several 100,000 passengers. This provides us with key insights into the consumer experience and allows us to build operational knowledge across vehicles, infrastructure, utilization requirements. This learning has played a critical role in preparing us to deploy fully driverless vehicles in the years to come. Late last year, we received our driverless testing permit from the Nevada DMV, and in the last couple of weeks, as Sam mentioned, we announced that we achieved, with the endorsement of our external assessor, fully driverless capabilities on public roads. One of the few in the world to achieve this, and certainly even fewer to have done so with the stamp of endorsement from an external assessor. So with this snapshot of accomplishments thus far, I'd like to share a bit more about how fully driverless fleets will start to emerge in the coming years. Initial commercialization will come through fleet applications. For Motional, which is focused on the Robotaxi application, we will deploy fleets with mobility services providers. Starting in 2023, we expect initial driverless deployments in select cities within geofenced areas of those cities. As the technology matures and consumer adoption starts to increase, we will see an expansion both within the initial cities and we'll start to open additional markets as well. Motional's offering is comprised of the core AV software, the user experience, and for user experience, this is what allows the passenger to interact with the vehicle and any remote support systems that are required to help support that journey. We also build fleet services for Robotaxi-As-A-Service so that we can ensure that the vehicles are operating efficiently. Think of this as a command center where we can see in real time what our vehicles are doing, the health status of that vehicle, and understand, does it need to be charged? Does it need to be deployed to a resting spot to rebalance before accepting another ride, et cetera. So a full suite of fleet services to monitor the Robotaxi-As-A-Service portion of our offering. Our commercial deployment product will be integrated with a Hyundai electric vehicle. Given the deep integration that's required with an automotive manufacturer, we feel incredibly fortunate to have Hyundai not just as our OEM partner, but as a JV investor, particularly given their global track record for safety and reliability. Motional's Robotaxi product will be integrated onto partner networks. We announced an industry first late last year with a multi-market, fully driverless commercial agreement with Lyft. We also announced a partnership with Via, which is focused on the shared use case. For deployment, we will take deliberate and metric-driven steps for full driverless deployment. This will encompass the full end-to-end experience for the passenger, ensuring that we are building, testing, and refining across all areas of our operation, from remote support functions to ensuring a smooth pickup and drop-off experience. As with our current driver monitored program in Las Vegas, which is currently on pause due to the pandemic, we will start with internal testing before we start to test with the public, and we will start with safety operators. Once our system has been validated for fully driverless deployment on that Hyundai electric vehicle platform, we will expect to then begin a soft launch phase with passengers so that we can continue our learnings and refine fully driverless operations before we open that up to the public more broadly. Ensuring that Motional is operating in an optimal environment for the commercialization of our driverless technologies, we've looked across our global experience from Singapore to Boston, Pittsburgh to Las Vegas, and we've identified 4 key criteria for ensuring a successful regulatory and operating environment. Facilitating technology progress and consumer adoption, This is certainly something we've experienced in Las Vegas to date. The milestones, like 100,000 rides completed here, points to unprecedented success on that front. The next is digitizing road rules. This has become increasingly important. We need to ensure that city partners can provide ingestible road rules in a digital format. That's our ideal outcome. We're also working with our research scientists as well as external experts to mathematically define good driving behavior. AVs follow road rules, and defining what good driving behavior looks like within those road rules is part of the promise of AV technology. It reduces accidents. Next, enabling dynamic curb use. This is a hot topic globally with transportation planners, city officials, mobility providers, all of whom seem to be experimenting quite rapidly with modernizing curb management. In a post-pandemic new normal, we have the opportunity to reshape the use of curbs to facilitate the movement of people and goods. And at Motional, we would love to see support for defining pickup and drop-off zones. Lastly, evolving the value chain. Within the AV industry, there is a tremendous amount of learning, cooperation, and competency building going on across every aspect of our value chain and service delivery models. There are key roles for each player to play, whether it's the AV supplier, to operations and management of the vehicles, the cleaning, care, maintenance, calibration of the vehicles, keeping them charged, to providing the consumer network itself. And as we test and learn to prepare for fully driverless deployments, we may find that during that testing phase, we're taking on a role in the value chain that may or may not be part of what we ultimately hope to be playing in the future. So what we are striving for is to find regulatory environments that recognize the need for flexibility as so many parts of the mobility transportation ecosystem comes together to figure out how to safely deploy AVs into our multimodal city transportation networks. And so with that it concludes our prepared remarks. Thank you again, Chair Harris and committee members, for having us here today, and we look forward to your questions.
Thank you all so much. I think the technical term for describing what you guys are doing is cool. And we appreciate you making Nevada a part of developing this new technology. Are there any members who'd like to ask any questions? All right, Vice Chair Brooks.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just curious, where is your headquarters in Las Vegas, and where's your test facility down in Southern Nevada, if that's not confidential information?
Sure. It's Sam Wimpy for the record. Thank you, Vice Chair Brooks. Our Las Vegas Technical Center is very close to McCarran Airport. And the test track that we frequently use in Nevada is the Las Vegas Speedway. We also have test tracks that we use at some of our other sites as well, but that's the one we frequently use in Nevada.
Thank you.
Senator Spearman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I have a question about fuel. What kind of fuel does the vehicle use now? And are there any plans to change the mix soon? I know I think it was 2010, 2011, I think it was, Hyundai experimented with hydrogen fuel cells in one of their models. So I'm curious to know if that's something that they will continue.
Thank you for the question, Senator Spearman. So the current vehicles that we're using, there's two primary platforms that we have in Nevada. The main one, the one we've showed most of the photos from, that we're using for driverless operation is a plug-in electric hybrid. So it does have a combustion engine as well as an electric component. We also use some BMW 5 Series. Those are traditional combustion engine vehicles. But to your question around the plans for the future, the Hyundai platform we will be moving to is an all-electric vehicle. So that's our most immediate plan, is to be moving to an all-electric platform. We have had some conversation with Hyundai about the hydrogen platform, but when and if that does happen, it would be quite a bit into the future. There are, I think there's a lot of promise to the technology, but a lot of the infrastructure just isn't there to support it yet. The way it's quickly growing for electric.
Senator Spearman.
Follow up? Yes.
Apologies. I'm Peter Simshauser. I'm the general counsel for Motional, and I would just adding to your question and Sam's answer. There is a lot of excitement within the company and also at Hyundai around a autonomous vehicle on a fuel cell electric vehicle platform. Even as recently as the past couple of weeks, we've been having a lot of discussions with them. As Sam indicated, that technology is a little bit further in the future than building out charging stations for battery-powered electric vehicles. But there is agreement that there's great alignment between the autonomous technology and the fuel cell EV. So it is something that we're hoping will come to fruition, albeit a little bit further down the development.
Follow up, Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
So you say infrastructure. Are you talking about, I heard you say, Mr. Simhauser, that the infrastructure is not there. Mr. Wimpy, I think you alluded to that too. So are we talking about charging stations? Are we talking about places that can repair? What are we talking about in terms of infrastructure that would need to be there to move to that? Because one of the automobiles that you use, BMW, has moved to hydrogen fuel cells and electric as a hybrid. So just a question.
Yes, Senator, this is Peter Simshauser again. And on the hydrogen cell vehicles, the primary issue is distribution of what amounts to a gas station, but instead of having gas, it has hydrogen. Today in America, I'm not aware of there being any of those for passenger vehicle type settings. There may be some in some of the trucking industries. So that's the primary issue.
All right, are there any other questions from members before we let the Motional team go? All right, not seeing any. Just want to thank you all again for coming before the committee and for the information that you provided. And please continue on with the awesome stuff you all are doing. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Take care, everyone.
Okay, next on the agenda is the introduction of a committee bill draft. All members should have received a copy of this prior to today's meeting. We are looking at BDR 43-464. The measure addresses various changes relating to off-highway vehicles. Remember that a vote in favor of introducing a bill draft does not imply support or a commitment to vote in favor of the bill at a later time. All this action does is allow the BDR to become a bill and be referred to a committee for a possible hearing. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to introduce BDR 43-464.
So moved.
All right, I think Senator Hammond jumped first. Looks like we've got a second from Vice Chair Brooks. Any discussion on the motion? All right, will the secretary please go ahead and call the roll so we can get a roll call vote?
Senator Brooks,
Yes.
Senator Hammond,
Yes.
Senator Pickard,
Yes.
Senator Spearman,
Yes.
Chair Harris,
Yes, and the motion passes unanimously. Fantastic. We will now go ahead and move on to public comment. BPS, will you please poll the line?
Thank you, Chair. At this time, the line is open and working. However, there are no callers on the line.
Okay, well, I don't know if any of us are too sad about that. We'll be able to get out of here in a good amount of time. I appreciate all of the members arriving in a timely fashion. Are there any comments from the members before we adjourn? Okay, seeing none, our next meeting will be on 3/8 at 3:30 p.m. sharp. We are adjourned. Have a great day, everybody.